Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to a love reading for September 2024. It's Sagittarius Yogini. As you can probably tell, I'm a Sagittarian myself. And yeah, so let's see. Okay. I don't know if this is kind of an awkward or, I mean, I feel like there should be a card over here, but oh well. It is what it is. So I should have mentioned with my love readings that these are for people who are single and looking, or people who are in relationships. It can be for either, who are in relationships that are troubled, but maybe they don't want to throw in the towel just yet. Sometimes, that's a fault of theirs, because maybe a lot of bad stuff has gone down and they should be throwing in the towel. Emotionally, we look to the moon in astrology for the emotional reactions and motivations which guide our actions in relationships. So, like if your moon is in Taurus, that's a fixed earth sign. You may be very stubborn, emotionally fixated on a particular person. Regardless, I mean, it's almost like this blind stubbornness. And that would also be true, although will have its own flavor, for Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, which are also fixed signs. But a sign, if your moon is in Cancer, you may be very sentimental about the good old days of the relationship when everything was bright and sparkly, and you're kind of conveniently ignoring what the shit show of the last 6 months. Pisces, talk about ignoring. You might just have ignored the whole relationship and been living in la la land. And I'm, please, this is, by the way, I have videos for sun moon combinations, and I believe I have one for Sagittarius Cancer. I I think I put the title as It's Complicated. So those kinds of things, Libra is the moon sign, they keep people in that relationship sometimes long past the expiration date. And as a Sag myself, I know that the bugaboo in relationships for Sag is often the idea of freedom, because it's often assumed that when you get into a relationship that you have to give up your autonomy, that you have to just be a two-headed monster and do everything with that other person. You can't have your own life within that relationship. And I think if that's something that you have struggled with, maybe that's something that you internalized, that you believed about relationships, you have to, change your attitude about it, because then you'll just enter a whole new paradigm where that isn't even up for debate. So the heart of the matter is the Three of Wands, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a card of expansion, of wanting just more out of life. So if you're someone, because I'm looking here at the past position, I got 3 major arcana cards out of 5. So I have to believe that there's a lot of shifting for Sages relationship-wise, for whatever reason. I'm trying to think of astrological reasons. Oh, well, one reason is, Jupiter is in the 7th house for Sag and Gemini. And that can actually be very fortunate, where you can find the one. Now, if you're in a relationship with somebody that you're not vibing with, Jupiter in the 7th house, it may be that some lucky turn of events has you at the right place in the right time, and you meet the person who is your, for lack of a better term, soulmate, or you could say life partner. And that's really cool. That's what we want. We want to be with the right person, not just any person. So, in the what got you to this place is the Fool card. So there was some major reset. It's like factory reset, 0 point, where you're stepping out in a totally new way. Somebody who maybe has been married, coupled for decades and is newly single. That could be a very good example of that. But, even if you're somebody who is like 20 years old and listening to this, it's possible that you are dating for the first time. And so this card as a central theme is really about wanting more out of life. So if you have had, for somebody who has had a lot of crappy relationships, this may be especially relevant for you, because Sag is the ruler of the ninth house in astrology. I'm sorry that I'm, adjusting this so much, but I'm getting used to this new setup, and every time I stop recording and I push away everything, then it's not exactly where I want it. So I might have to keep it somewhere. But anyway, yeah, if you are someone who really tired of crappy relationships, it can get old to just have one after the other. And it's like Sag is the ruler of the ninth house in astrology, and it's dealing with the higher mind and expansion. And that's what this card is all about, is expansion. And also your life philosophy. Like, what am I here for? Am I here, it's kind of rude, but am I here to just like date a bunch of jackholes and maybe marry one of them? Or is there some higher purpose? And, isn't my mate supposed to be somebody that I can walk the spiritual path with, or the path of life with, and we support one another? Isn't that the ultimate? But there's, like, you can see with this card, those boats in the water, and it really, and the mountains in the distance, and that speaks to the expansion element, where, it's about growth seeking opportunities, and relationships, when they are at their best, are growth seeking opportunities. What crosses you is the World card. So for those people who are, it's ironic. I was talking about the fixed signs, and they're all like in each corner of this. The World is the last card of the major arcana, and it speaks to endings, like the end of an era, the end of some relationship, the end of your schooling. If you've graduated, it's graduation day. So she's holding, I guess, I thought those were batons, but I guess they're diplomas or something like that. But the whole point is that there are cycles in life, and sometimes there are endings. And since this is a challenge card, it's like, it's hard for you to expand, since you don't allow something to end, since you cling to it. This can be a bad relationship that you currently are in. When I say bad, I mean not respectful. Maybe there's cheating, maybe there's lying, but it's chronic lying. Not just a once in a while type of, white lie, but, chronic lying and about serious things. You don't trust the person. They're demeaning to you, or maybe you have unfortunately sunk to that level yourself. So you have to let it go before you can expand, because you're going to be stuck in the past. You're going to be stuck in this thing that you don't want. You You can't progress when you're still in that situation. If you're single, this can be like bad experiences that you've had that prevent you from really believing that you can have true love. And that may affect the way that you interact in relationships. For people with a sun in um, Sagittarius, they may easily have Venus and Scorpio, and or Mars or whatchamacallit, Mercury. But the moon can be in all these different signs, including Scorpio. But I'm talking about, the point is that Scorpio tends to be very suspicious, very much lacking in trust, and that keeps a person stuck in place and unable to really advance. So just keep that in mind, if you're going through something like this. Where you're headed, Two of Cups. This is what we're dealing with now. Maybe all of this is about commitment. This can be a card about commitment. And because Jupiter's in the 7th house, maybe you have found your person, but you're still leery about committing to them. And I'm not just talking about getting a marriage license or something like that. I'm talking about saying that you're going to spend the rest of your life with them, living with them. These things are very life-changing. And it does make sense to really give it a lot of thought. I would definitely support that. But think about if that person represents the Three of Wands to you. If you feel that they can provide growth to you, do they seem like they are growing within themselves? And that they are really, I'm not just saying it has to be like a spiritual path. To me, self-growth is spiritual. So whether it's like, Tony Robbins or, some kind of Hindu sect or, yogic tradition, I don't care what it is, or the Galactic Federation, it could be anything. But something that we're striving to improve in our lives that is related to ourselves. Does that person provide that? The outcome is pretty promising, King of Pentacles. If you are, but also too, I want to point out with the Two of Cups, it's also a card of forgiveness. So some people look at something like infidelity and say it's unforgivable. And I mean, I'm not in somebody else's shoes in that regard, so it might be easy for me to say, but I do think that people should hear out the other party and see why they felt like they had to do it. Of course, there are some people that are sex addicts and they're just going to keep doing it. And they're going to seem like they're, really remorseful, but they're going to keep doing it because they have an addiction, a compulsion. So it's hard to be able to say if somebody is really sincere when they apologize. But sometimes we have to forgive people that have nothing to do with our current relationship in order to, a woman who is abused by her father in some way has to forgive him, meaning that she has to see the child of God within him. Not to say that he didn't behave atrociously, but just seeing the light of God in him, that he's, not just constantly building their life around hating a person. It has nothing to do with even talking to that person if that feels unsafe. It's about freeing yourself from that person's energy in your life, negative energy in your life. And maybe such a woman takes it out on the men in her life, and she doesn't even realize that she has hostility towards men. And You have to heal your father wound if you have one in order to have healthy relationships with men. Same thing goes to men. So this card, as the outcome card, is all about, um, I mean, it's funny. I wonder if it is connected to Taurus. I see that bull there. Um, it's, you could say, like self mastery as it pertains to the material element in life. It could be a mature earth sign man, Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus, that you are deciding to be with. But it's, to me, ultimately, it's about feeling the ultimate stability in your life. Because maybe you have found someone, or you are going to find someone in September that personifies that for you. But I want to say that, again, not everybody's going to be there in September, because they're going to be working on letting go of something. You may be perfectly single, but you still are holding on to a past relationship energetically. And there are, it's on YouTube, and there are other sources where they have cord cutting videos. And then there are some people say, "Oh, you shouldn't cut a cord," or whatever. So I mean, there's always back and forth, even with astrology, with everything. But the idea is that we can remain connected to people energetically. It's on an invisible level. We might not have talked to them for 10 years, and we're still connected to them. And you can remember someone without having to be connected to them energetically. So that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, please visit rainamoonastrology.com to order a reading. I have love readings, career, natal chart interpretation, of course tarot, but also transits. And it's RAINA, Raina Moon Astrology. Take care. Bye.